guys, Eva here, and today I am doing a review, and the review is for Hunted by Palahniuk. I have my copy from the library, so this is actually edition of their cover. I don't think you can find it anymore. I do have a paperback version that I have acquired since then, but I kind of like this old copy from the library, so I am holding on this. This is a horror book. I've read this for my challenge of reading the 10 most disturbing books ever written. On my paperback copy, there is a parental advisory note on the cover. It's not sticker, so you cannot take it away. It's just there, parental advisory, which can hint about how disturbing this book can be, or is actually. This is marketed as a collection of short stories, but I don't agree with that. It is true that there are short stories in it, but it has an overall arc of story. So I think some of the stories you can find singularly, like they are published like as an ebook or something like that, and you can just read the short stories. Like Guts, the first short story, I'm sure there is like a single version of it, so there is just that short story out there. But I think that if you read just the short stories, you kind of miss the point of the whole book. Now, if you take the short stories singularly, they would seem like absurd, disgusting, really graphic short story with not much behind it. But when you read it in the book, they make more sense. The reason being that at the beginning of the book, basically you follow this bunch of 24 writers who answered an advertisement for a writer retreat, and you can come and have for 3 months all the space and the tranquility for you to write your book. And so they decided to go. Now each character has a nickname, so there is like Mother Nature, Miss America, Reverend Godless, and so on. So the characters with their nickname, and you do know their actual names if you read the stories. The way the book is structured is that basically in turn each character tells the other a story. So there is a poem about the character that tells you a lot about the character itself, and then the character, for example Miss America, there is a poem about Miss America, and then starts her story. So she tells a story and she uses real life names, which it's her, so that it's a allegory for her and what happened in her life. So these characters that you follow throughout the book, they're really peculiar and weird and shady, all that jazz. But if you read their short stories, which they narrated like in third person, but it's them. So by the end of the book, you have each character's story, and you know why they're there, and you know why they have that kind of nickname given to them at the beginning of the book and throughout the book. So that was I really appreciated that. That was kind of genius. And I loved how that actually played out, because I was expecting just a bunch of short stories, and instead I got a whole plot. I got a whole satire on humanity, but done in a really clever way, because you follow these parodies of human beings, and then they tell their story of how they became this parody. So that's really something that I found interesting. Plus, each story, yes, it is graphic, violent, maybe for some disgusting, and so on. So I can see the parental advisory here, but it has a sense. It's not like a nonsensical like many other books that I've read for that challenge. It was like, what the fuck I'm reading? In this, I knew what I was reading all the time. And so for how much absurd the story could get, it had a beginning, and it developed in a way that by the end you grasped the meaning of the story. You knew what you read. You knew what that kind of allegory parody standed for. You knew what the author was trying to tell you. And that's something I really appreciated, because after having read like really shitty books, I was reading something that made sense. I have to say that I love his writing. I love what he says, the way he says it. It puts into words many thoughts that I have on society, on humanity. I am someone that believes that sometimes the truth, the more brutal you say it, and in a clear, just without sugarcoating it way, the better is received. So I totally agree on what he's doing. I love how provocative and how he is basically denouncing and saying this is all that's wrong with humanity. So this is according to what Goodreads says, and so on. At least this is a parody on reality TV shows, but I think this is so much bigger than that. It's a parody about humanity, about so many type of people, basically, so many cardboard, if you want, characters on this. You have, you know, the blonde and stupid girl that just want to go on TV. You have the one called Mother Nature, where it's all about practicing yoga and so on. And of course, this is a book, so this is a exaggeration of how people are, because no one is just one thing. We are more things, but some people are mainly one thing, let's say that. And the way he take off the mask and uncover what's behind it, and how he can get into human most dark corners and just take them out and put them on a page, saying this is what we do and this is what we love and that's what is wrong with us. The message of how we love being damaged and how we love violence and how we need all of that to not get bored. The message I got from it, it was like, we are in a shitty world because we need to be in a shitty world in order for us to be entertained. Which is a really dark message, but if you analyze it, personally, I found it really clever and really true. So that's why I connected with this book a lot. I have to say that towards the end, it gets a little bit lost. Like, not the story, the short stories themselves, the plot gets a little bit more confusing a little bit. So in the end, it was less good than the beginning and the middle for me, so I bumped it down from a 5 stars, which it was until probably the last 100 pages, to a 4.5 stars. Many people don't like this book because it is kind of disgusting. It's cannibalism, any kind of trigger warning you can think of. Sexual assault, not really, not too graphic, but it's not sexually explicit that I can remember of, but I think I'm right. It's more about violence and murder and all kind of disgusting things. This shocked me. If I didn't read all the other books before, maybe, or many books before this could have impacted me more negatively. I am kind of used to graphic contents, and although I can recognize that this is definitely something disturbing and graphic, and for many it would be too much, for me it was okay. I didn't have any trouble with it, apart from one bit with just Miss America toward the end, what happens to her. It's almost touching one of my no zone, you don't go there, but it didn't really explain it too much. It was just a few sentences, so I could handle it, but it was risky. Apart from that, I was fine with it. I am used to it, and I overall really enjoyed this. As I said, I gave it 4.5 stars. It was really clever and provocative in a really smart way. So it's definitely a book that I went out and bought even before I finished it. I was like, I'm gonna reread this book and actually grasp more from it if I analyze it. I think it's one of the books that has much more to say than what you can grasp for a first read. One of the books that I've enjoyed the most this year, definitely of that challenge. Either do I suggest this? If you're an adult, if you are okay with graphic, violent contents, yes. I mean, like, I read crime fiction, so I can handle this. You have to really be okay with horror content and a lot of shit, to be honest. What I would say is that do not read the single stories, because yeah, they're okay, but you miss so much. So read it or don't like read just one story. Or if you have read it thinking it was just a random short story by Chuck, no, just go back and read the whole thing, because it makes so much more sense. And yeah, it's probably among my favorites from now on. So yeah, maybe that says something about me, that one of my favorite books is in the top disturbing books ever written, right? I don't know. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you read this book, or if you have any other recommendation about horror books. I cannot do horror movies, but apparently I really enjoy the books. So if you have any recommendation, leave them down below. Check out my wrap-up for reading the 10 most disturbing books ever written. I link it down below. If you're new, I would love for you to subscribe, so hit button down below. Enjoy your day, night, depending on where you are, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!